In September 1996, Michael embarked on a new worldwide concert schedule, the History Tour, the first leg of which began in Prague, Czech Republic, and which would not end until Honolulu, Hawaii at Aloha Stadium on January 1997. The second leg would begin in Bremen, Germany in May 1997 and end in Durban, South Africa in October 1997. During the tour, Michael will perform 82 concerts in 58 cities to over 4.5 million fans. It was a grueling schedule. All told, the History Tour visited 5 continents and 35 countries. A month after the tour began, and just a few months after his divorce was finalized, Michael made headlines again with another bombshell revelation. A woman was carrying his baby. Deborah was 5 months pregnant, which meant she and Michael had been working on a baby while he was still technically married to Lisa. Debbie later explained, I said, you deserve to be a father. Let me do this for you. Let me have your baby. He was surprised, but he said, yes, let's do it. Debbie's existence in Michael's life and her pregnancy was finally revealed when she was tricked into discussing it with a friend who was surreptitiously tape recording the conversation. She just didn't know any better, explained Tonya Bond, one of the neighbors in the Vineyards apartment complex where she lived at the time. She was an open hearted girl who never dreamed that there were people out there tape recording conversations for the tabloids. However, there was, for all to see in the front page of News of the World, November 3rd, 1996. I'm having Jacko's baby blazed the headline with individual photographs of Michael and Debbie. She was appalled. Oh my god, no. Debbie said to a friend who was with her when she saw a copy of the publication. Please tell me it does not say that. It's my own fault. Look at this thing. Look at it. They're treating us like freaks. Debbie took the newspaper and flung across the room angrily. Then she sank into a chair, buried her face in her hands, and burst into tears. Those bastards, she kept saying. How could they do this to Michael? He doesn't deserve it, and he is going to be so mad at me. And in truth, the article was fairly accurate, especially reading it retrospectively. In it, David was quoted as saying that Michael was indeed the father of the baby, and that he'd been raising the child without her. She also said, according to what the News of the World reported, was being a typical that the two had engaged in sexual activity, but that when she did not immediately become pregnant, she decided to try what she said Michael referred to as a foolproof way of doing it, artificially insemination. She said that the process occurred at the Los Angeles Fertility Institute on Broadway Way in Beverly Hills. The first time ended in a miscarriage, she said. This time she felt she would carry a full term. The article also said that Debbie would receive about $500,000 from Michael when she delivered the baby. The revelation was almost as startling and maybe more so than the excitement that resulted from Michael's surprise nuptials to Lisa Marie Presley. The questions from the media came fast and furiously. Who was the expectant mother? Who was she to Michael? Why was it that no one had ever heard of her before? It all seemed strange, almost like a publicity stunt. Debbie's father, Gordon Rowe, a retired cargo pilot who lived in Cyprus, went on the record to say that the baby was conceived by artificial means at the Los Angeles Fertility Institute. She broke the news to me in a telephone call, he said. I only spoke to her once in a while, and I knew something was up. She said straight off, I'm going to have Michael's child after I recover from the shock, Debbie said. Come on, it's not so bad. We had the child by artificial insemination. I said, Debbie, why artificial insemination? Isn't he capable of following a child like anyone else? She laughed and said, Michael doesn't do anything like anyone else. I said to her, Isn't this the same man who was charged with child abuse? She said. He was charged with anything at all. Then she told me, Dad, do you have any idea who the real Michael Jackson is? He is the most compassionate person I ever had met in my life. If you could only spend one day with him, you will love him like I do. Gloria had rarely seen Debbie since he and her mom, Barbara, divorced more than 20 years before. He had not been directly involved in her upbringing since the early 1970s. She's always she's always been a rebel, he said of Debbie. Maybe if I had been more of a father, things would have been different. After his comments received worldwide publicity, he issued a general retraction of everything he had said, each and every word. It appeared that Gordon spoke too soon and that Michael was unhappy about his comments. The pop star soon issued his own statements. The report speculating that Miss Rowe was artificially inseminated and that there's any economic relationship are completely false and irresponsible. However, Steve Schremer, a California computer executive who dated Debbie for 6 months before her first pregnancy with Michael, insisted Debbie told me that she agreed to try for a baby using artificial insemination as a favor to a friend. No names were mentioned, but with hindsight, you don't need to be a genius to figure out who she was talking about. She is simply not the material type, though. She's always said she had no interest in having children. The only reason she agreed to do this thing for Michael was the understanding that she would not become a traditional wife. Michael would insist that the baby was not the result of artificial insemination, and the public and press could either believe him or not. However, he went a step too far and also claiming that there was no economic relationship with Debbie. Such a statement only weakened his credibility about the baby's conception. After all, who in his right mind would believe that he wasn't giving Debbie some money? Even the surrogate mother who comes into the picture as a complete stranger is compensated for her services, let alone those who are close friends of 15 years. Is it logical that David Rowe would have a child for one of the wealthiest entertainers in show business, and that he, in return, would not have given her even a dime for her trouble? In fact, according to reliable sources, Debbie was received millions of dollars from Michael over the years, not as payment for her services, but as gifts to her. But Michael's former business manager, Mian Holi, sued him for $14 million in 2002 among the court papers filed Michael's monthly budget, which included payment to Debbie Rowe for $1.5 million. Whether she's getting money for him every month, annually, or per child, she'll never have to worry about finances again. Michael arranged for other financial annuities for her as well as eventually buy her a $1.3 million home in an exclusive Franklin Canyon enclave of Beverly Hills in the fall of 1997. He and Debbie would never live together. At the time that the story broke, Debbie was supposed to meet him in Australia, said Tanya Bod. She presumed that the trip would be off, that Michael would be so upset about what had happened and he would refuse to see her. She cried a lot that day. Debbie frantically attempted to locate Michael and Sydney to explain to him how she had been deceived by her friend. However, before she could reach him, he was on the telephone calling her. Contrary to what Debbie expected, as she recalled it, Michael could not have been more loving and understanding. She now says that it was during that telephone call that she realized that Michael was the man for her. Look, I can understand how this terrible thing happen, Michael told Debbie. I've been tracked by the media before. Relax. It'll be okay. I promise. Debbie's so appreciative, said Tonya Boyd. Even though she had obviously created a huge jam, he didn't blame her for it. That went a long way toward him, a saint in her eyes. She was so relieved she decided that she would be loyal to him. And once you have Debbie Rowe's loyalty, you have it for life unless you screw up royally. Focus, Debbie, Margot told her. Keep your eye on the goal, which is what you and I have this baby. Of course, the press would find out about it eventually. I expected it. They have made my life miserable for years. Though he tried to not show it to the expectant mother, Michael actually was apprehensive about the news of Debbie's pregnancy being made public. First of all, would his plans put it all together and realize that he'd been working on a baby with Debbie before he was divorced from Lisa? How could that look? Ali, or it turned out that much of his public wouldn't figure it out or at least care. Not only he was unsure about his fans would take it, he was worried about the reactions of his mother, Catherine. Indeed, Catherine, still a devout Jehovah's Witness, was not happy to learn from news broadcasts that her son was fathering a child with a woman to whom he was not married. This reminds me of what Michael's father did in the 70s, Catherine said privately. Speaking of Giovanni, it broke my heart. I won't have history repeat itself with Michael. I just won't have it. After the news of Debbie's pregnancy broke, Catherine tried to reach Michael overseas. It was difficult because of his tight schedule, but on the day the pregnancy story broke out, Catherine managed to find Debbie, whom she had met on several occasions at a neighbor's apartment where she was hiding out from the stalking media. That neighborhood that neighbor recalled, I picked up the telephone, hoping it was Michael calling for Debbie from Australia, and this woman on the other end said, would you please put Miss Rowe on the phone? I thought I was a reporter, so I said, she's not here. And the woman said, well, this is Michael Jackson's mother. Can you help me look here? I have no idea how she got my number. I handled Debbie the phone. Catherine was, as Debbie's neighbor put it, sweet as she could have been to her. For about 30 minutes, she talked to Debbie about the sanctity of marriage and about the Jehovah's Witness faith. Debbie was impressed. In fact, by the time she ended her conversation with Catherine, she had not only agreed that it would be best if she married Michael, she was practically ready to convert. When Michael found out that Catherine and Debbie had spoken, he probably sensed that his life might be changed. Indeed, according to one of his associates, when Michael finally spoke to Catherine on the telephone, he asked, she asked him to marry that nice girl Debbie and give her your child a name, not like your poor half sister Giovanni. Michael had never wanted to repeat the sins of his father, so Catherine perhaps knew how to appeal to her, or as the associate put it, she pushed all the right buttons. Michael agreed that he should marry Debbie. It's definitely the right thing to do, he said. When one reviews the chain of events described by their inmates, it's interesting that Catherine's telephone call to Debbie and Michael had such an impact on their future together. Prior to the Jackson matriarchs, the plan was that Debbie was to have a mother for Michael, a close friend, doing a favor for him by having a baby, which she would then give him to raise. After the birth of the child, Michael intended to issue a statement and then keep the mother's identity a secret. And such in much the same way, the identities of most secret mothers are protected. A good example of what he and Debbie intended is the way he has handled the identity of the woman who gave birth to his very blonde third child, Prince Michael II. We didn't know who she is, other than that she's not Debbie. Debbie has denied maternity. He has not divulged her name, and he hasn't married her either. It wouldn't have been easy, of course, to keep Debbie's identity undisclosed, but since she has managed to keep the women's identities out of the press, it obviously can be done. For years, Michael had proven that if he wishes to do so, he can keep secrets about his private life. However, Debbie is having confided in a treacherous friend about the pregnancy. The resulting publicity and Kathleen's concern alter Michael's master plan and also his life. As a result, he was not only a good father but a husband again. While speaking to her on the telephone, Michael insists that Debbie keep her secret to visit him in Australia and, in fact, take the next plane. She agreed to meet him at the Sheraton in the Park Hotel with the Jackson Agency occupied 40 rooms. However, she did not know when that she was going to be marrying him there. She was surprised when she finally got there, and he told her of his plan and said to her, boy, she called me November 12th, 1986, and said, guess what? I'm marrying Michael tomorrow. I asked her if she loved him. She thought over for a moment and answered, yes, I do, sort of. I put. Romantically, she paused and said, the kind of love I have with Michael is bigger, more important than that. Excuse me. It's not the kind that most people can understand. Simple love affairs end. This relationship will never end.